Hey everybody, how you doing? Dash and Dave here again. Doordash has a big problem, and I think it's going to come to a head here sooner or later. Let's take a look. Low tippers, no tippers, orders not getting picked up, and food being thrown away. Now, the most common response to that is it's not up to the customer to tip the service personnel, whether it's a waitress at a restaurant or a driver delivering food from a restaurant, to make up the difference that the business is not paying them a living wage. In my opinion, that is a straw man argument. It does not belong in the argument because we do live in a tipping society. It is what it is, and it isn't going to change anytime soon. Should everybody get $30 an hour waiting tables at Perkins and delivering food in a SUV named Speedwagon? Hell yeah, sign me up. But that's not reality and not going to happen anytime soon. Got it? So if your only contribution to the discussion at hand, the issue at hand, is the company needs to pay everybody more, then you don't deserve to be in the discussion. It is what it is right now, and we need to work around this issue as it stands right now. And simple pie in the sky wish that the companies paid their workers better so we don't have to tip is going to come out of your pocket in the long run anyway. Doordash is king in my market, and it is in the entire United States. They hold approximately 60% of the food delivery market. Doordash has obtained the #1 position in the market the same way every other capitalistic business has done in the history of mankind. They undercut everybody else. That means they offer their products and their services at a cheaper price than everybody else, and that's why everybody uses Doordash. Many restaurant store merchants will beg to differ on that point, as Doordash does have some pretty high fees attached to their service in conjunction with being partnered with the restaurant. We'll get into that later in this video. But strictly from a delivery driver point of view, let's take a look at a couple examples that I've gathered up in my market. Here we have a couple examples of orders originating at Panera Bread on South Duff and Ames and being delivered to Nevada, Iowa. Doordash on the left, Grubhub on the right. The Doordash customer has provided no tip to the delivery driver. I know this because in my market, $3.75 is the greatest amount of base pay that Doordash provides, irregardless of the mileage. I think the maximum base pay kicks in at a distance over 5 miles in my market. In this case, with Nevada, we're looking at 11 miles from the pickup point to the delivery point. Looking over on the right-hand side, the Grubhub order from Panera going to Nevada, 13.7 miles is the mileage listed at $12.66 payout. Here's another example. Chick-fil-A in Ames going 9.4 miles, paying $4.75 on Doordash. And Taco John's in Ames going 10.5 miles, paying $11.22 on Grubhub. In this example here, both orders are originating in Nevada, Iowa, with a Nevada, Iowa delivery address. On the left, the Doordash order, we have a pickup at Casey's General Store, which has carry-out pizza. We're going to go pick that up in Nevada and then deliver it less than a mile away to the delivery address in Nevada. Payout, $3.25. On the right, we have Grubhub. The order is originating at the McDonald's in Nevada, going just less than a mile away to the delivery customer, paying $12.04. Who in their right mind are going to take these order offers? I sure as hell didn't. it's fairly certain that nobody picked these orders up and delivered them and they got thrown away. In my market, in my experience, I have never had a Doordash delivery to Nevada that paid worth a damn. Uber Eats and Grubhub, I've had several order offers that paid pretty good considering its highway miles over and back. But at high business times, lunch rush and all that, it didn't pay me, in my opinion, for my strategy because of the 10 or 15 minutes that you were not probably going to get an order on the way back. So you have to kind of double the time and double the miles and look at it that way. But with Uber Eats and Grubhub, I have made Nevada runs during some of the slower periods, thinking to myself, what are the odds of getting $15 over the next half hour to 45 minutes on Doordash, or just taking this run to Nevada and back? And I've rolled the dice, and I think it's been a good call per my strategy at times during the slow times to make the Nevada run. For example, the other day, and this may have been last week when I had my record day on a Wednesday, I'm not sure, but anyway, I was in the Campus Town area and got a Grubhub offer from 1+1 Restaurant and Tea delivering to Nevada, Iowa. We can see that this occurred pretty much at high noon, 12:04, but I remember taking this and thinking I'm going to go ahead and take it. It's $15 for Christ's sake, so I'm going to take it. You can see the delivery pay is $3.71 time plus $3.71 mileage. 15.46 miles from my location to the merchant store, then over to Nevada. Taking this order offer goes against my general strategy of not wanting to leave Ames during the height of the lunch rush. As I've been with Grubhub here for some time, I know that the McDonald's over in Nevada is fairly popular with Grubhubbers, and I thought there's a good possibility I could pick up a McDonald's Grubhub in Nevada, deliver it in Nevada. If that was a $7 or $8 run, that would add to the 15 and make it worth my time for the 15 to 20 minutes dead zone, if you will, getting back over into Ames. We can see here that the Grubhub base pay, if you will, which is the $3.71 time plus the $3.71 mileage, is already almost double what the Doordash pay would be for this job if the customer provided no tip. And in this case, we can see that the customer tipped $7.82 for a total payout of $15.24. So I completed that delivery in Nevada, and nothing really hit really quick from the McDonald's, so I'm heading out of Nevada, heading back towards Ames, and this order offer for Grubhub pops up. Fuji Japanese Steakhouse in Ames to an Ames address, not that very far from the actual restaurant store there. And it's very interesting that I got this order offer so far away. It tells me that I was one of the few Grubhubbers out there that day. Maybe all the other Grubhubbers out there were on other deliveries, and that's why it got pushed to me. So here I am, just barely outside of Nevada, Iowa, and get this offer for Fuji Japanese Steakhouse. It's going to pay me to get back into Ames. It's total payout of $15.64. You can see that the time is $5.47 plus $3.05 mileage, and the customer tips $7.12. Fuji Japanese Steakhouse is one of the restaurants in town in my market that absolutely refused to do business with Doordash due to their high merchant fees. I found this out from the hostess as she was bagging up my order this day. In my other example earlier, the 1+1 Tea and Restaurant, they also fall into this category. Here is the Grubhub driver pay structure. As you can see, they offer up pay for mileage per order, time spent on the road, you keep 100% of the tips, and then they have their special offer, missions and stuff like that that they ask you to complete in a certain amount of time, yada yada yada. I have not found anything official from Grubhub on what the pay rates are on the mileage and the time, but in other websites dedicated to delivery gig, it is indicated that in some markets there's a $4 base pay plus the mileage plus the time on the road plus tips. Other websites indicate it's 13 cents per minute, your time spent on the road completing the order, and 22 cents per mile. Doing the quick calculations on what we see here with Fuji Restaurant, knowing that that took about 40 minutes for me to complete, and the mileage pretty darn close to what they're saying there on the 22 cents per mile and 13 cents per minute. We can assume that any and every market is going to be different on these rates. Coming back to these two Panera Bread orders, one with Doordash and one with Grubhub, this is about the closest we can call identical orders based on the two delivery app platforms. Using rough calculations with the Grubhub base pay structure, Had DoorDash with the Panera Bread order offered up the same pay structure without the customer adding any tip, the DoorDash order would come in around $7 versus the $3.75 we see here. Still not the best pay metrics either for time or for mileage, but damn near doubling it is going to provide somebody some more motivation to maybe take it, depending on their vehicle and everything else. The Panera Bread order from DoorDash in the upper left-hand corner came in at $11.05. In my market, that's just a little ahead of the heavy lunch rush, which usually starts around 11:30. So someone with a very fuel-efficient car and sitting there not getting any other viable offers, a $7.25 order from DoorDash, from Panera Bread over to Nevada might be worthy of taking for some people. $3.75, that order's sitting on the shelf. Okay, let's wrap this up and get into the food waste part of this video that is what got you here in the first place. DoorDash is king in the United States, and it is that case in my market, followed by Uber Eats, and then coming in third, Grubhub. Let's understand and acknowledge that no food delivery service platform has ever been profitable. Uber Eats is the only delivery app that I believe has shown even a glimmer of profit, and I think they only broke even once in one quarter about a year or so ago. So when it comes to profits for the corporations, that needs to be taken off the table. None of them have ever been profitable. It's questionable if they ever will be, but in the big corporate world with write-offs and tax breaks and yada yada yada, that's the last thing on their mind. It's market share and shareholder wealth. That's all they're concerned about. DoorDash is king with over 60% of the market share in the United States, and I'm going to say that right along with that, they have the largest share of cheap SOBs that don't hand out tips to us delivery drivers. That's why their orders are sitting on the shelf, and that's why their orders are ultimately going to be thrown away. Yes, I have seen $3 and $4 orders on Uber Eats and on Grubhub, but it is so rare to see those low-paying jobs where with DoorDash, I see 10 to 20 easily each and every day during my daytime shift. I've done some very casual research, very unscientific. I have asked several restaurants that I go to on a regular basis, just real casually, hey, about how many orders a week do you throw away? I've asked this at about 6 merchant restaurants in my market, and almost exactly each restaurant has said about 2 to 5 per week. These are orders that never get picked up and never get delivered. It could be that it's paying $9 but it's going 18 miles. It could be that it's paying $2.75 and going 11. For some reason or other, these orders do not get picked up and they do not get delivered, and they ultimately get thrown away. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet, but we're just coming out of COVID fully, and pretty soon some local news program, Action 5 News or something like that, and then it's going to get picked up on a national basis where somebody has calculated out how many tons of food are being thrown away annually, basically because people are too cheap to tip. You know what? Let's do that here right now. 10 restaurants, 3 deliveries per week are tossed. Let's put a measly 1 pound weight per delivery order that's thrown away. That's 3 pounds per restaurant per week. 10 restaurants times 3 pounds equals 30 pounds a week. 52 weeks a year times 30 pounds. 1,560 pounds annually thrown away from only 10 restaurants. Many of you probably watch Pedro DoorDash Santiago. He has great content over on his channel, and he's been making a prediction over the last half year to a year that he fears and predicts that at some point in time DoorDash is going to lower the base pay down to $1 in order to help their revenue stream. Man, I hope he is wrong, because it's only going to exacerbate this problem with the low and no tippers. And again, right now we're in a tipping society as it stands. We're not getting $30 an hour from the companies to make these deliveries, and if we were, you'd be paying for it anyway. Who would be left out in the cold? The cheap sumbitches that aren't going to pay that in the first place. They don't tip. They use DoorDash. They don't use Grubhub or Uber Eats. They know they can get $17 worth of food delivered for $2.75 8 miles away. Sometimes, sometimes people take those orders. Please don't take those orders, fellow delivery people. Just let them sit. Now, I know that that's the wrong thing to do because that's going to end up with food being thrown away. What's the answer? Alright guys and gals, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you can take something from this video and put it to use for yourself. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and hope to see you next time.